On Wednesday, August 21, 2024, it was Rachel's birthday, but her best friend Emily and Emily's boyfriend, Jake, were running late. They'd been stuck in an unyielding line of traffic on their way to the party. "We're never going to make it if we stay here," Jake muttered, gripping the steering wheel tightly. He tapped his fingers impatiently before spotting a narrow road to the side, partially hidden by overgrown trees and dimly lit street lamps. A small, rusted sign read, "Grimwood Avenue." What they didn't know was that Grimwood Avenue was more than just a shortcut. It was infamous, a road marked with tragedies, whispered about in local news reports and on late-night radio shows. The road was dark and eerie, with thick, overgrown trees looming over it like shadows of forgotten secrets. Stories circulated that anyone who ventured down Grimwood Avenue often never made it out, vanishing without a trace, or meeting with bizarre, sometimes deadly, accidents. Locals said something, or someone, was rumored to prey on anyone who dared to cross its path. Unaware of the danger, they continued down the road, the trees closing in around them like dark curtains, blocking out the last traces of daylight. Emily was distracted by her phone buzzing in her hand. It was Rachel, calling to check in on their delay. "Where are you guys?" "It's getting late," Rachel said, her voice filled with a hint of worry. "We were caught in traffic," Emily explained, glancing over at Jake. "But Jake found a shortcut, so we're taking Grimwood Avenue. We should be there soon." There was a pause on the line, and then Rachel's voice turned serious. "Wait, did you just say Grimwood Avenue?" Emily confirmed, feeling a twinge of unease creep up her spine. "Turn back now," Rachel shouted. Her sudden, panicked tone startled Emily. "I saw something about that road on the news. They say it's cursed. People disappear or worse, something evil lurks there." Before Emily could process Rachel's words, she noticed a rotting wooden sign by the side of the road. The faded red letters spelled out, "Turn back." Her stomach knotted in dread as she quickly relayed Rachel's warning to Jake, telling him to turn the car around. Without hesitation, Jake made a sharp U-turn, determined to leave the road behind. But as he turned, they both spotted something, or rather, someone, standing near the edge of the trees. It was a woman, barefoot and dressed in a tattered, white gown, her hair matted and hanging loosely around her face. She stood completely still, her eyes locked onto them with a blank, eerie stare. "Did you see her?" Emily whispered, her voice trembling. "Yeah," Jake replied, his voice barely above a whisper. He stepped on the gas, trying to shake the image of the woman from his mind, as they sped down the road to get as far away from her as possible. Emily couldn't help but glance back through the side mirror. But the woman was gone, vanished without a trace. "She was just there a second ago," she murmured to herself, her pulse racing. But when she turned around to look at Jake, he was focused on driving, trying to keep his own fear at bay. As they sped down Grimwood Avenue, Emily's phone buzzed again. It was Rachel, her voice tense and filled with concern. "Did you get off the road?" she asked immediately. "No, not yet," Emily said, struggling to keep calm as she recounted the strange woman they'd just seen. She was mid-sentence when she gasped, her words catching in her throat. "Oh my God! What happened?" Rachel's voice demanded through the phone. Emily stared straight ahead, her eyes wide. "There's someone in the middle of the road," she whispered, her grip tightening on the phone. Up ahead, a shadowy figure stood blocking their path, unmoving. Jake's hands tightened around the steering wheel, and he muttered to Emily, "Hold on. I'll find another way out." He quickly turned the car again, desperately searching for an escape from this nightmare road. But Grimwood Avenue seemed endless, twisting and winding without an exit in sight. No matter which way he turned, they remained trapped. Emily's phone rang again. Rachel's worried voice filled the car. "Are you out yet?" "No," Emily cried. "We keep seeing people or something standing on the road. And now, now the car won't start. Fear clawed at her chest as Jake turned the key, again and again, but the engine refused to come to life. They were stranded, locked in place on that dark, desolate road. Rachel's voice rose in panic. "Lock the doors. Close the windows. I'll call the police, just hold on." Jake and Emily scrambled to lock the doors and roll up the windows, their breaths quick and shallow as they sat in the darkened car, every shadow outside feeling like it was closing in. But then, in the middle of the silence, they saw movement. A figure began approaching their car slowly, its footsteps heavy and deliberate, echoing in the darkness. As it got closer, they realized something was horribly wrong. The figure looked human in shape, but as it stepped into the faint light, they saw it wasn't human at all. It had the body of a person, but its face was twisted and monstrous, with the features of a wolf. Its eyes glowed with a menacing red, and a long, razor-sharp smile curled up its snout-like mouth as it stared through the car window at them. Emily and Jake held their breath, hoping it would go away. But then, slowly, it reached out a clawed hand and began pounding on the window. The glass shook under each hit, tiny cracks starting to spiderweb across the surface. "He's breaking through!" Emily screamed, clutching onto Jake's arm as they both cowered in fear. The creature's hand shattered the glass, and it reached inside, its claws digging into Emily's arm as it dragged her toward the broken window. She let out a blood-curdling scream, struggling against its grip, but it was no use. In a horrifying instant, the creature yanked her halfway through the window, silencing her cries as it pulled her into the darkness. Jake, paralyzed by fear, tried to open the door to escape, but before he could get out, the creature turned its gaze on him. It lunged forward, tearing the door open and dragging him out of the car with monstrous strength. When the police finally arrived on Grimwood Avenue, they found the car abandoned, the windows shattered, and the doors hanging open. There was no trace of Emily or Jake, only the faint smell of something rotten lingering in the air and strange claw marks scratched into the road. Grimwood Avenue had claimed 2 more lives, and the mystery of the cursed road remained as dark as ever.